Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the Hindu news analysis dated 27th November 2025. Now, before I start the discussion, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Those who are present in the session, please give the confirmation. Am I audible and visible for all of you? Thanks a lot. Let's start. So, from today's Hindu newspaper, I've taken total of 9 articles, but totally 10 articles listed here. One is from the Indian Express, 9 from the Delhi edition of Hindu, 1 from Indian Express. This has been done in order to ensure that the discussion will be comprehensive and you'll be able to answer the questions in the prelims as well as the mains examination. If you're liking this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Before I start the discussion, I have a very important announcement to make. Those who are appearing for the Civil Services 26 and 27, our courses are available at a discounted price of 25% now. Once you go to the website, check the prices could be higher. Use the code IAS English, and once you use the code IAS English, the prices of the courses will be cut by one fourth, that is 25%. This is an offer which will be ending very soon. Use the offer. For details, check by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Let me begin the discussion. The first important article, exchange rate, limited room for Reserve Bank of India. In the recent times, there has been a lot of discussion, debate surrounding the concept of exchange rate as well as Reserve Bank of India's role in the exchange rate. For a very simple reason, Indian rupee in the last 1 year, that is between November 2024 to November 2025, has depreciated by more than 7%. Depreciation simply means the rupee value has been reducing against the dollar value. We are paying more number of rupees compared to, right, let's say earlier time period. That is basically the depreciation in the forex market. Now, whenever you talk about exchange rate market, please remember the Reserve Bank of India will play a very important role. And when I say a very important role, RBI doesn't fix the exchange rate. Please remember this. RBI doesn't fix the exchange rate for a simple reason. India doesn't follow a fixed exchange rate mechanism. Rather, India follows a floating exchange rate mechanism. Although most of the times it is floating means the market, the forces in the market, that is the demand as well as the supply of the currencies, will determine the exchange rate. For majority period of the time, it is the market forces which will determine the exchange rate. But every now and then, when there is unsustainable depreciation or unsustainable appreciation, it is the Reserve Bank of India which will enter the market, will participate in the market and stabilize the exchange rate. Please write the term stabilization. I'll repeat this again. Do not use the term RBI fixing exchange rate. Then the evaluator will realize that you do not understand the basics of foreign market or foreign exchange market. Use the term RBI stabilizes the exchange rate. Now, in recent times, like I mentioned earlier, Indian rupee has depreciated by more than 7% in the last 1 year, and this year alone, it has depreciated by more than 4.5%. Now, listen to me carefully. Whenever this kind of a depreciation will take place, what does RBI do? And certain tools have been mentioned in the article. I'll explain these one by one. Listen to the discussion carefully. Generally, whenever there is a rupee appreciation or rupee depreciation, that is very fast, unsustainable appreciation or depreciation, I said RBI will play a role here. How so? Imagine there is a very fast depreciation of Indian rupee. Depreciation in the sense how this will happen. Rupee supply in the domestic forex market is increasing very fast, and the demand for the dollar is increasing very fast. Is everybody okay with this? the supply of rupee, because it's a forex market, rupee supply will be very high. Demand for the dollar will also be very high because you need to sell the rupees to purchase dollars. Now, in this particular situation, what does RBI do? RBI essentially will use the forex reserves. RBI is the custodian of the forex reserves. Please remember, RBI is the custodian of forex reserves. RBI will use the dollars out of the forex reserves and supply the forex reserves, that is the dollar, in the forex market. How does RBI do that? RBI generally enters into the swap agreements. Let's imagine a situation here. You are a bank. Bank is a participant. I repeat, bank is a participant in the forex market. RBI will basically sell the dollars to you. Imagine I'm the RBI. I'll sell the dollars to you and I'll take rupees from your pocket. That is basically how RBI will supply dollars. So when supply of the dollars increases, automatically the exchange rate will get stabilized. Is everybody okay with this particular concept? Do let me know in the chat section. Right? And on the other hand, if there is a sudden appreciation, very fast appreciation of Indian rupee, RBI does exactly opposite. RBI does exactly opposite. That is, when there is a very fast appreciation of Indian rupee, what does it actually mean? It simply means demand for the rupee in the Indian forex market is increasing and the supply of the dollars in the Indian forex market is increasing. Too much of a supply, obviously value has to go down, and the demand increases, value has to go up. So in this particular case, RBI realizes that there is a too much of supply of dollar. So what does RBI do? RBI will basically give you rupees and take away the dollars from the market. So this is how RBI will basically play a very important role in stabilizing the exchange rate in the market. Again, I repeat for the third time in today's session, stabilizing the exchange rate in the forex market. Now, in recent times, despite rupee, I repeat, despite rupee depreciating to the record low, that is crossing the threshold of 89 rupees per dollar, there is a concern that RBI is not doing sufficient. Right? There is a concern that RBI is not doing sufficient. But the important discussion that we need to have is this particular rupee depreciation is not happening because there is something wrong with the Indian economy. I hope you understand this. This depreciation is not happening because there is something wrong with the Indian economy. It's not a structural issue. It has happened because of various external factors. It has happened because various external factors. For example, many of the foreign investors who are generally considered to be investing according to the market where they'll get more returns, where there is more stability. They're worried about the volatility. They'll keep on jumping from one market to another market. That's a precise reason these kind of institutional flows are also referred to as hot money. So these kind of foreign investors, they have been coming into India, they have been going out of India, as a result of which there is certain amount of contribution to rupee depreciation. In addition to this, another factor which has contributed to this kind of a rupee depreciation is India's exports and imports. Exports and imports. Now, in the context of imports, I hope all of you remember, last week I discussed trade deficit in India. Last week I discussed in one of the news analysis session itself the trade deficit. India has a very huge amount of a trade deficit. It has increased, and this is on account of the tariffs announced by the USA government, and this is on account of higher gold and silver imports that has happened into the Indian market. In addition to that, one more factor that has contributed is even the fertilizer imports. So these kind of exports and imports have contributed to higher trade deficit. And when there is a higher trade deficit, what does it actually mean? Dollar outflow is greater than dollar inflow. Is everybody able to understand? Trade deficit means more dollars are going out of India compared to the dollars coming into India. And this is also contributing to rupee depreciation. So what is the solution then? What is the solution? Can we expect RBI to keep on coming into the market every time these kind of situations will happen? What is a structural reform in such cases? Listen to me carefully. The argument here is one of the reasons why the trade deficit will contribute to the rupee depreciation very often is because we import a lot of crude oil. Simple. We import a lot of crude oil. And when you import a lot of crude oil, which is amounting to a 20% or a fifth of total imports, any variation in the prices of the crude oil in the international market automatically will put a pressure on Indian market. Automatically will lead to increase in the prices in the Indian market. So what is the solution? The solution is simple. We need to reduce the import dependence. We need to reduce the import dependence. That is one of the very important solutions. Sir, how can you reduce import dependence? Promote other sources of energy. For example, renewable energy promotion, electric vehicles, etc. So this has to be done. Second very important point or second very important reform that you'll have to remember is the government of India is signing multiple trade agreements right now. And this is going to the heart of the trade deficit, right? Issue of trade deficit. Government of India is negotiating trade agreements with multiple countries. And with this, we are expecting that, I repeat, we are expecting that the trade deficit will be addressed, India's exports will increase. But historically, if you see, whenever India has signed a trade agreement like this, historically I'm talking, whenever these kind of trade agreements have been signed, best example, India ASEAN free trade agreement. India's trade deficit after signing the trade agreement has actually widened rather than reducing. According to Niti Aayog report, I repeat, according to Niti Aayog report, between 2011 to 2017, India's trade deficit with ASEAN countries doubled from $5 billion to $10 billion. This despite signing the trade agreement. So just signing the trade agreement may not yield expected results. Government of India will have to focus on promotion of exports. Government of India will have to ensure the other trading partners will be cutting down the non-tariff barriers, will be reducing the non-tariff barriers. Government of India has to ensure competitiveness of India's exports will increase. With all of these particular reforms or measures, these structural reforms will help us in reducing the trade deficit, in addressing this particular issue of exchange rate. And this is a precise reason RBI so far, I repeat, RBI so far, despite rupee depreciating above 89 per dollar, has not taken lot of measures in the recent days. Right? And moreover, RBI simply says if rupee depreciates, what is the outcome? Outcome is imports will become costlier. Simple, imports will become costlier. Even if the imports become costlier to some extent, there is no danger of causing inflation in India. There is no danger of contributing to very high rate of inflation in India. Why? Look at the recent inflation rates. Look at the most recent inflation rates. The most recent inflation rates are very much under the control, is within the range itself that has been decided by the government of India, that is 2 to 6%. So these are some of the reasons which have been cited. RBI is not too much worried about rupee depreciation, but having said so, you can't expect RBI to intervene every time rupee depreciates. We have to implement structural reforms over a period of time. Done? So these are basically the points I wanted to discuss in the context of exchange rate, the role of RBI, which is very limited in the context of the forex market. Now let's go forward. Associated with this, I've given a previous year question here. This question was asked in UPSC Prelims 2023. Solve the question very quickly. Which one of the following activities of the Reserve Bank of India is considered to be part of sterilization? Which of the following activities of RBI is considered to be part of sterilization? What is the answer? Please do let me know. A. Most of you are saying option A. Anybody for option B, C and D? Okay, great. Right, those who have answered, everybody has said option A. Option A is the correct one. Which of the following activities of RBI is considered a part of sterilization? Simple. RBI on one side, right, will basically conduct activities. Some of you are saying option D. Just listen to me very carefully. Option A is the right one. RBI on one side will basically, let's say, purchase dollars and give rupees. As a result of this, I hope you remember, right? Earlier I've discussed when rupee depreciation will happen, when rupee appreciation will happen, what is the role of RBI, etc. I've explained it. But whenever RBI will do these kind of activities, either in one of the activities, rupee supply will go down, or in another way, rupee supply will increase. If rupee supply will go down, it will hurt the growth prospect. If rupee supply increases, it can contribute to higher inflation rate. So what does RBI do in that particular case? RBI is in a difficult position. If RBI will conduct these operations, inflation will be caused. If RBI doesn't conduct the operation, exchange rate will be further destabilized. In such cases, RBI will use open market operations. OMO. RBI will use open market operations. What is the basic idea for open market operation? RBI will either sell or buy government securities. For example, imagine I'm the RBI, you're a bank. In one operation, in one of the activities, I've given you rupees and taken the dollars from you to stabilize exchange rate. But this will increase the rupee supply in the market. On the other hand, RBI will basically give the government bonds to you or sell the government bonds to you and take away the rupees from you, thereby reducing the money supply. Right? So this is the open market operation. Right option is option A. Now let's go forward. Next article from Indian Express, bringing back Indian origin faculty. In recent times, the government of India has been focusing on the idea of promotion of research and development in India. For example, in the month of November itself, the government of India has announced Research and Development Incentive Initiative, where 1 lakh crore rupees has been allocated by the government of India. 1 lakh crore rupees. But please understand, on one side, if you're going to promote research and development, you'll also have to ensure that in the universities, in the research labs, etc., there has to be good faculties. Is it okay? You will have to ensure there will have to be good faculties, or else the government uses the term star faculties. Star faculties. And it's not that the government of India is worried about it only right now. No. There has been a lot of discussion associated with the concept of brain drain. Brain drain. That is, a lot of intellectuals, lot of human labor from India has been moving from India to rest of the world, to developed economies in search of better labor, better quality of jobs, better quality of living, etc. But in recent times, come to only the concept of faculties now. In recent times, there have been certain instances in the developed economies as well. Best example, USA. Because most of the researchers from India generally end up going to USA for multiple reasons. But in recent times, there have been certain events that have happened in the USA market or in the USA universities, which has led to a lot of people, lot of researchers reconsidering their decision to move to USA and go back to their native countries. For example, India itself. What am I talking about? In multiple instances, the government of USA has threatened to file a suit to withdraw the funding, to pause the funding, to take various actions against the universities in America. For example, Chicago University, California University, Harvard University. So, argument is very simple here. There are certain actions which are being undertaken, considered, or being threatened by the USA administration against faculties, against the universities, etc. Now, in this particular situation, the government of India is focusing on attracting these star faculties back to India. And as such, already the government of India has implemented multiple reforms. For example, have a look at these and please memorize this. For example, earlier the government of India had announced a Ramanujam Fellowship, under which the foreign star faculties will be allowed to collaborate with Indian universities. A 5-year contract or a 5-year agreement would be provided to them. The government would provide grant to these particular star faculties, etc. In addition to this, there was also one more scheme announced by the government of India earlier, Vajra scheme, visiting advanced joint research faculty scheme, wherein generally for up to 3 months, the foreign faculties or the star faculties would be allowed to come to India, right? Provide certain services to various, right, let's say universities in India, research centers in India. But having said so, there has been one lacunae. Lacunae in the sense, these kind of initiatives have not yielded the expected results. Expected in the sense, long-term reverse migration, long-term movement back into India of these particular star faculties. And that is a precise reason now the government of India is considering one more grant initiative. One more grant initiative. This has not yet been announced, but it is being discussed. Last month itself, multiple articles were published in different newspapers, not in Hindu, by the way. But, anyways, the government of India is considering one more grant initiative in order to attract back or in order to bring back these star faculties permanently into Indian universities. Now, what are the problems? If government of India has to implement these effectively, what are the problems? First and foremost, the salaries which are paid to these, let's say, the star faculties in India will be very, very less or is very less right now. According to one estimates, in India, a permanent faculty in the university generates or earns somewhere around $30,000. $30,000 to $40,000. Again, not in rupees, in dollars. But if the same faculty is working, in USA, if the same faculty is working in European universities, etc., their salaries would be in the range of 1.5 lakh to $2 lakh. 1.5 lakh to $2 lakh. And not just this, even if they are working in, right, let's say countries such as China, there the permanent faculties will earn more than $1 lakh per annum. So argument is one, first and foremost, it has to be focused on salary. Because I hope you understand this. At the end of the day, even if you are working, at the end of the day, one of the most important parameter that will decide whether you return back to India or not is basically paisa, right? Rokda, that is dollars, rupees. How much money will you be able to earn, right, after returning back to India? And this is nothing wrong, by the way, in a sense. If they have to come back to India, there has to be a motivating factor. I hope you understand. There has to be a motivating factor. What is a motivating factor? They are living, let's say, quality lifestyle back in USA. They are living, right, better standard of living from USA. They are living, right, a lot of, right, let's say, quality administrative work, quality labs, etc., and coming back to India. So there has to be an incentive for them. There has to be some driving factor in addition to, let's say, nationalism. So first and foremost, salary is a constraint here. Second one is quality of equipments, the labs. Simple. The labs, the technology that is available. Because you want to write a thesis, you want to conduct a research. For that to be conducted, you need very good quality equipments. In case of India, a lot of times the issue has been that you want to import an equipment from the Western market. You want to import something from China. There comes the involvement of bureaucracy. And that will come into picture only when your university will approve the buying of these kind of equipments. In case of India, first and foremost, the problem will be with the university itself, because the university doesn't have sufficient funding. And whatever funds are available, all the departments are fighting with each other to get access to those funds. And now, even after the approval of the university, you want to import it, you will have to get the permission or the approval from the ministry. So that is another issue, right? So bureaucracy as well as equipment, career progression. That is, let's say in the USA university, you will become a professor, you will become a tenured professor. Your position, right, is guaranteed. There is security of your job. But in case of India, a lot of times there is, right, issue, politicization, or basically, right, the casteism will be followed, or multiple issues are there in order to achieve a higher level position, right, in case of the hierarchy that has been set up in the Indian universities. And not to forget, To what extent they will be provided with autonomy? To what extent autonomy will be provided to them? We have seen multiple instances where the university professors have been targeted for various reasons, good or bad, doesn't matter. They have been targeted. If they have done illegal things, that's a different matter altogether. But for conducting certain research or for saying certain statements, right, etc., they have been targeted. They have been forced to issue or tender an apology. Or if their viewpoints do not align with the government viewpoints, there has been attack on them, etc. So how much autonomy will be provided to these particular, right, let's say the professionals or let's say researchers in India in terms of their work? How much burden will they experience in order to conduct administrative work as well? So these are some of the issues that the government of India needs to consider before announcing this particular grant initiative. And obviously, way forward, if you know the issues, you can provide for the way forward as well. So these are the points which have been discussed in this particular article. Again, I'm saying I've taken this article from Indian Express so that you will have a wide variety of articles in today's discussion, from science, from right, let's say polity, from economics, science and technology, etc. Okay, so based on the discussion, I've given a descriptive question for you to practice mains answer writing. The global competition is intensifying as emerging economies attract researchers through financial and institutional incentives. Examine this statement in the context of India's efforts to retain and attract talent. 250 words, 15 marker. And by the way, this particular statement I've taken from the article itself. The statement I've taken from the article itself, right? In the last paragraph, this particular statement has been provided. Okay, now let's go forward. Right, the committee, SC setup committee, has recommended that there should be a tiger reserve in Goa. Tiger reserve in Goa. What is a debate? Right, listen to the story here. Very interesting story, by the way. Back in the year 2011, when Mr. Jairam Ramesh was the Minister for Ecology and Environment, along with many other authorities, a letter was sent to the Goa state government authorities. What was the letter's gist? They asked the state of Goa to identify certain region, right? That is basically certain region in Goa, right? The forest region, which is already a wildlife, the sanctuary as protected by the state of Goa, to identify this particular region and declare this as a tiger reserve. Simple. The union government or the letter asked the state government to declare this as a tiger reserve. The state government argued that this is not required. And please remember the names of the regions as well. That is, these particular regions are, right, the Netravali Wildlife Sanctuary, right, Kotigao Wildlife Sanctuary, right, and these are some of the very important regions just adjacent to the state of Maharashtra as well as Karnataka. Now, what was the contention of the state government of Goa? They said not required because already we have declared this as right, wildlife sanctuaries. We have around 760 kilometers of area covered. We have been protecting them. Now the situation continued. Over a period of time, there are multiple instances that happened in this particular region. There was one instance where multiple tigers were killed because they were poisoned. Multiple tigers were killed because they were poisoned. There was one more instance where there was wildfire. Right? There was wildfire, and there is an argument that this could be done by humans only. So wildfire cases have been reported. The cases of poisoning and killing the tiger have been reported. Now again the debate started. That is the central government asking the state of Goa to identify this as a tiger reserve. Now, what was the contention of the central government? Why did the central government want this to be declared as a tiger reserve? The center basically stated that this region, which has been identified by the center, is not just a passage for the tigers. That was the contention of the state government. State government was like, no. This area is not the residence of the tigers. The tigers don't reside here. They merely use this particular right route to travel from one state to another state. So are they using this as a road or the traveling route, or are they residing in this particular region? That is exactly the debate that has been happening. Now look at the right argument of the state government. The state government argued that not required. It is just a passage. It's a corridor. You don't have to declare. And moreover, if you declare, there will be a lot of issues regarding population which is already located in the region. If I declare this as a tiger reserve, because in the tiger reserve there will be one core area and the second one will be buffer area. Core region and buffer region. If I declare this as a tiger reserve, a lot of population will have to be shifted. They will have to be moved outside this particular region, etc. On one side, the state government of Goa was saying this particular argument. But on the other side, when there is a dispute with the state government in the Supreme Court of India, in its filing, in its dispute with the state government of Karnataka regarding water sharing basis, the same state government was saying the water has to be supplied more because in this region, right, there are certain number of tigers residing, and these tigers will require water for drinking purposes. So there was a U-turn taken by the state government of the Goa. In one affidavit, they said, no tigers are residing, not required. And on the other side, they were saying, no, tigers are there. They require water. In fact, according to the 2022 tiger census, I hope all of you remember this. We solved a question associated with this some time ago. Right? According to the tiger census that was conducted back in the year 2022, it has stated that in the state of Goa, there are 5 tigers. In the state of Goa, there are 5 tigers. And a lot of you keep on asking me, sir, give map also. Show us the map, give the map so that we understand, etc. This is the map of state of Goa and the reserves as well as right the regions that is being considered right now. Anshi Tiger Reserve, it's a tiger reserve by the way. Anshi Tiger Reserve, it is in Karnataka. Right, Madhe Wildlife Sanctuary, Bhagwan Mahavir National Park, and Netravali Wildlife Sanctuary. All of these are important. Please make a note of all of this. And do not worry, after the session is over, the PPT will be made available to you in the Telegram channel. Please download. So, argument is very simple. Is it only a corridor or is it a residential place for tigers? And if it is a residential region, there has to be protection, better protection provided to the tigers. Supreme Court of India, initially it went to Bombay High Court. Bombay High Court, that is Goa division, right, basically issued an order directing the state government of Goa to set up a tiger reserve. Against this, special leave petition was filed by the state government of Goa in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court of India set up a panel, and this panel now has recommended that, I repeat, this panel has now recommended that the tiger reserve has to be set up in the state of Goa. Not immediately, but in phases. Do not implement this immediately, but in phases, implement a tiger reserve. Regarding the contention of the state government, right, that right, already land is there, population will have to be moved, etc. The committee or the panel has recommended to the Supreme Court that no, the population doesn't have to be shifted. Population doesn't have to be forced to sell away the land, because a lot of this will basically fall into the buffer zone. In buffer zone, human activities are allowed, but with certain regulation, with certain control, it is allowed. But the state government, one, has to prepare a comprehensive plan for the protection of the tigers now, and second, will have to prepare a plan, right, in phase wises to declare this region as a tiger reserve. And third one, will have to prepare a plan and implement in order to sensitize the population, educate the population, etc. Everybody is okay with the discussion here? This is one more article. Please make a note of this. Ecology and environment, very, very important article. Now let's go forward. Next important article. Scheme for rare earth magnets. Scheme for rare earth magnets. The cabinet has approved 7,280 crore scheme for promotion of production or integrated development of manufacturing facility of rare earth magnets in India. Now, why is this scheme so important, so relevant? In recent times, there have been multiple instances where we have seen how import dependence of crude, the critical minerals, not crude, critical minerals, the critical minerals and the outputs of the critical minerals, when they are restricted, to what extent it will hurt industrialization or manufacturing in India. We have experienced this firsthand. That is, very recently, China basically imposing a restriction, right, indirect restriction on the export of magnets to India. Now, Government of India also has taken various reforms to promote production, recycling of critical minerals in India. Government of India has announced 30 plus minerals as critical minerals. The Government of India is promoting production, processing of critical minerals in India. In fact, very recently, the Government of India has announced 1,500 crore scheme to promote recycling of critical minerals in India. Now, the Government of India for the first time has announced a scheme of 7,280 crores for production processing of rare earth magnets. What are the important points you need to remember? I've summarized the article. Please have a look at the points. Let's go one by one. Point number one, the financial outlay, like I mentioned earlier, is 7,280 crore rupees. This financial outlay will be broken into two components. One will be 6,450 crore rupees, wherein, right, the sales of REPM stands for rare earth permanent magnets, right? This particular scheme is called as sintered rare earth permanent magnets. And those are worried, sir, what do you mean by sintered? Sintered is basically a manufacturing process. Simple. It is basically a manufacturing process. So sintered rare earth permanent magnets. Government of India has allocated the 6,450 crore rupees to incentivize the sale of these particular REPM magnets. And the second one, the Government of India will allocate 750 crore rupees for setting up 6,000. Please remember the capacity as well. 6,000 metric tons per annum. 6,000 metric tons per annum. 6,000 metric tons per annum will be set up in India, and the funds which will be allocated for the companies who will be identified through a bidding process will be 750 crore rupees. And the Government of India, the document has clearly stated, we are going to identify 5 companies through a bidding process. I'll repeat the statement. We are going to identify 5 companies through a bidding process. So 5 companies through a bidding process will be identified. Each of these companies will be given the capacity to produce 1,200 metric tons per annum. And the focus here of the Government of India is these projects will be integrated projects. Please remember this. These projects will be integrated projects. What do you mean by integrated projects? A lot of times you will come across the term integrated projects. For example, in cold warehousing or in cold infrastructure project, there is integrated project promotion. Even here, the government is focused on integrated projects. Integrated in the sense, the whole supply chain activities will be conducted by the companies. The complete supply chain activities. For example, in case of getting a rare earth permanent magnet, the final output is what? REPM, rare earth permanent magnet. But before that, what are the different activities that you need to conduct? There are different activities such as first, rare earth oxide production. Rare earth oxides will be produced. These will be used to produce metals, which will be used to make alloys, and the alloys would be used to make rare earth permanent magnets. So these are the different supply chain activities, and if you promote all these by a company, this is called as integrated project. So government is focused on integrated project promotion. Please remember that. The funds which are been allocated and the scheme will be implemented for a duration of 7 years. For the first 2 years, it will be a gestation period for the company to set up the manufacturing facility, and the next 5 years will be the duration where they will have to produce, sell, and get the sales incentive from the Government of India. So these are certain very important points associated with the new scheme to promote REPM in India. What is the objective? Simple. Import dependence will go down. It will promote manufacturing activity. Investment will be promoted in India. Employment will be promoted in India. And not to forget, the import dependence reduces, promoting Atmanirbharta, self reliance. These are certain very important outcomes associated with the new initiative approved by the cabinet. Let's go forward. Next article. Everybody is okay with the discussion so far? Can I move on now? Next article, just a important update. Update in the sense, the Chief Justice of India has announced that or has stated that the CJI or the Supreme Court will consider a plea to revive National Judicial Appointments Commission (NJAC). The Supreme Court will reconsider or will consider a plea to revive NJAC. Now, what is the debate? What is the discussion happening? Right now, the appointments to the Supreme Court as well as the High Courts is done through a process called as collegium system. I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this collegium system, which was introduced because of the judges case 1993, right? The second judges case. So collegium system has been in force or has been in presence. Against this, there are certain criticisms. Criticism of, let's say, appointments of kind of judges which are done. Right? Certain judges who are related to other judges have been appointed. There has been criticism against that. There is a criticism of non-transparency or opaqueness. A lot of times you never understand why certain recommendations have been rejected by the collegium, why some of them have been recommended by the collegium, etc. In simple terms, the process is very, very opaque. Process is very opaque. To make the process much more transparent, the Union government had proposed NJAC, National Judicial Appointments Commission, wherein a committee would be set up in which, along with the representation of the Supreme Court, there will be representation of the Union government as well as the society as well. Other members would be present. The Supreme Court of India in the last decade, basically in 2014 and 15, declared NJAC as unconstitutional. Declared NJAC as unconstitutional. And after that also, there have been multiple instances where there has been a discussion of bringing back NJAC again, proposing NJAC again to make the process much more transparent in appointments in the Supreme Court as well as High Court. Now, the new Chief Justice of India basically states in a plea, there is a plea in front of the Supreme Court now. In the petition, the petitioner basically says the NJAC should not have been struck down by the Supreme Court. Right? NJAC should not have been struck down by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court argued that with introduction of NJAC, it will basically disturb the basic structure, and basic structure is a part of the constitution. And we will not allow the basic structure to be disturbed. Hence, one of the reasons cited to strike down NJAC. Now the petition simply says this NJAC bill was approved by the parliament, was taken up by the states, approved by the states. And these particular state legislatures as well as parliament, let's say Lok Sabha, consist of the people who are basically voted by the people, who are elected by the people. So when the Supreme Court of India strikes down this particular bill or has struck down this particular bill, it is going against the will of the people. How can it nullify the will of the people? And that is basically the contention that is happening now. The Chief Justice of India now has stated that the Supreme Court will consider a plea to revive NJAC. Let's wait and see what is going to happen in the coming days. Another very important article, the Chief Justice of India calls for National Judicial Policy. What is this idea of a National Judicial Policy? Right now, we have multiple high courts in India and multiple divisions or multiple benches in the Supreme Court. Multiple points of time we must have seen there is too much of confusion regarding the orders issued or the judgments which are issued by the high courts as well as different divisions or the benches of the Supreme Court. One high court will say X is correct or the law has to be interpreted in this way. Another division will say, or another high court will basically say, no, The interpretation of the law has to be done in this way. And this creates a lot of confusion. And this is not just limited to the high courts, it is applicable even to Supreme Court. There have been multiple instances where Supreme Court of India has revised its order. In recent times, there have been multiple examples. Best example regarding, right, let's say how to take up the subject and issue or resolve this particular subject of street dogs, or it could be associated with corruption in the, right, let's say the legislatures. It could be associated with insolvency and bankruptcy code. So there have been multiple review petitions which have been filed. In multiple instances, the higher bench has revised the order issued by another bench. So argument is very simple here. All of this happens because we do not have a national judicial policy. This is the argument. All of this happens because we do not have a national judicial policy. Meaning what? We do not have a framework how the judgments have to be announced. What kind of resources you will have to use. What are the other judgments issued by the other courts, digitization of all of these, etc. So we do not have the right or national judicial policy. And the Chief Justice of India now has basically called for framing a national judicial policy which will help in ensuring that all the levels in the judiciary, they will be working in synchronization. All the levels will work in a synchronized way rather than one pulling the other side and the other part of the judiciary going to the other side, which will create a lot of confusion, which will delay the process of providing justice, which will make the process of getting justice a time consuming as well as a costly process. And that's a precise reason a lot of people in India are basically not, right, they do not have too much of confidence on the judiciary, saying that the judiciary will take a lot of time. Judiciary, right, going to the judiciary is a very costly process for them, etc. Done? Right, so this is one more article associated with judiciary. Next article, the government of India, in its filing to the Supreme Court, has justified the move to impose ban on online real money games. Online real money games. Remember the term online real money games. Because please understand this, online games can be real money games or non-real money games or non-money games. What is the basic difference? These online games, in one, you will have to pay money to participate and you're expecting certain returns. You want to win. You are expecting to win and make money. And non-money games, these are online games, but you do not pay any money to participate and play these particular games. The government of India very recently has announced Promotion and Regulation of Online Gaming Act of 2025. Online Gaming Act of 2025. And what does this particular law do? It has notified or it has identified the online real money games and has banned these online real money games. Simple. It has banned online real money games. And that's the reason again I am saying please be very careful in differentiating these. E-games, electronic games, online games, all of them are banned now? No. Only those particular games where you pay money to participate, you expect to win, these kind of games are banned. Now, against this particular ban, which has been proposed under this particular Act of 2025, companies have approached Supreme Court of India. They filed a petition in Supreme Court of India and their contention is very simple. With this announcement, the government of India is going to violate Article 19(1)(g) of Indian Constitution. Article 19(1)(g), that is basically a fundamental right to carry out trade and profession. And not just this, the online gaming companies have also argued that by imposing a restriction, the government of India is basically imposing a restriction under Article 21 of the players as well. So these contentions have been raised by the companies against this particular provision under the Act. But the government of India now has submitted its reply to the Supreme Court. What is the contention of government of India? Point number one. These online real money games have been used for terror financing, for conducting terrorist activities. These kind of online real money games, the platforms are used for conducting terrorist activities. These are used for money laundering activities. These are being used for money laundering activities. And if you're worried, sir, how it is connected to terrorism, you must have seen in online real games, you will be playing this with other players. You will be allowed to communicate with other players. What if the terrorists are communicating with each other like this? What if the funds are transferred through mule accounts when people will participate in online real money games? And not just this, the central government is also against these arguments of the companies, saying that it is violation of Article 19(1)(g), etc. Because many people, thousands of people in India are getting addicted to these games. These are getting addicted to the games. And according to the government estimates, right, more than 45 crore people are addicted to these games, and people lose a lot of money. They lose a lot of money by playing these kind of games. According to government estimates, more than 20,000 crore rupees per annum are lost by the people by playing these kind of games. A lot of these borrow money from the market. A lot of these use the money which could have been used for buying food grains for the household, buying other required essentials for the household. And there have been instances where people have committed suicides because they are not able to repay the loan. So the government of India is of the argument, it cannot be more than the lives of the people. Right? Your argument that you should be allowed, that your fundamental right of under 19(1)(g) has been violated, it cannot be taken as a greater compared to, right, let's say, the loss of the lives of the people. So these are some of the arguments. In fact, the government of India has quoted, right, please remember, it has quoted the two sections or two entries in the list 1 of Indian Constitution. That is entry 31 and entry 97. Entry 31 basically talks about post, telecommunications, etc. And entry 97 is basically talking about residuary powers. Government of India says, under these, the power to impose a ban and regulate these online games is with the central government, is with the union government. Because until now, different states used to have different rules, regulations, etc. And that led to a lot of chaos in the whole system. So union government simply says, no, it will come under my purview, and my decision is that I'll be banning online real money games. So these are, right, basically the points that you need to remember in the context of online real money games. Next article, India-Canada uranium deal. There is a discussion that this particular deal might be signed very soon between India and Canada. What are the important points associated with this? Point number one, this is not the first time that India and Canada are signing a uranium deal. Uranium is one of the very important raw material, or basically the fuel that India requires to operate nuclear power plants. As of now, please remember the number, there are 25 nuclear power plants which are operational, and 6 of them are under construction. And you require the input, right, that is the raw material fuel, uranium, to operate these kind of nuclear power plant. And in the context of India, it has been importing uranium from different countries. For example, Canada itself. Back in the year 2015, there was an agreement that was signed between both the same countries, India as well as Canada, wherein a company, please remember the name of the company as well. They can ask you in the prelims, Cameco company, Canadian company, would be supplying the uranium to India for a period of 5 years. Now there is a new deal which is being discussed, which might be signed very soon. The worth of the deal is $2.8 billion. And under this, the same company will be supplying nuclear fuel to India for the next 10 years from the date of implementation of the deal. Now this is micro picture. Micro, that is, you are looking at only uranium deal. But look at the macro picture as well. Macro means between India as well as Canada. Are there any other pointers that you need to remember in recent times? In the context of economics itself, India and Canada are negotiating a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, SEPA. Please remember this particular point. India and Canada are negotiating SEPA now, right? That is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. In addition to this, very recently in the G20 meeting, there is also, right, an agreement which has been signed between the three countries, Australia, Canada, and India. ACITI, that is Australia, Canada, India Technology and Innovation Partnership Agreement. So these are certain important pointers that you need to remember in the context of India and Canada relations. Let's go forward. Next article. Very interesting article, by the way. Those who are followers of, again, if you are not followed, if you have not seen, nothing wrong with that. You will not connected to UPSC whatsoever. Those who are followers of the Big Bang Theory, right, they will understand these kind of articles very soon. Again, don't worry. What you need to understand from the article is very simple. There is a discussion associated with INO and JUNO. What is this INO and JUNO? JUNO stands for Jiangmen Underground Neutrino Observatory, and INO stands for India-based Neutrino Observatory. What is the basic idea of a neutrino observatory? The government of India announced INO. And what is the basic idea of a announcement of INO? And this was announced 2 decades ago, almost 2 decades ago, back in the year 2006. There are important particles which are essentially known as fundamental particles. Fundamental particles. Fundamental particles means these cannot be further broken down. These cannot be further broken down. For example, neutrino is one type of a fundamental particle, and this is a part of the group of particles which is called as leptons. Right, so leptons is a type of a fundamental particle. There are around 6 types of particles which are classified under leptons. One example is neutrino. Another type of let's say fundamental particle is boson. Another type of fundamental particle is a quark. QUARK. Again, just remember, can be questioned in the prelims examination. Fundamental particles, these are some of the examples. Now come to neutrino. There are multiple recommendations regarding study of how neutrinos behave. Reason being, if you can understand how neutrinos interact, behave with the matter, etc., you can understand and answer larger questions or bigger questions associated with how universe has evolved over a period of time. And these studies associated with the neutrinos cannot be conducted in an open lab. They cannot be conducted in open lab because neutrinos are present anyways surround us or around us. They are passing through us every minute. We are there on the earth. They are produced on the sun, etc. But because these are present already, you cannot independently identify which neutrino you're observing, how it is behaving, etc. That's the reason lot of times the studies are conducted in a closed environment. And that is exactly what the government of India tried to do here. They proposed, Indian Neutrino Observatory in a village, in a place in Tamil Nadu, that is Theni. 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 And this particular observatory would be an underground observatory. Underground because now, because the neutrinos from the surface are not going to come there, you'll be able to study in a closed environment. You'll be able to identify and study to what extent the changes, interaction, etc. will take place. So this was the proposal that was put forward by the government of India. Again, I repeat, back in the year 2006. And the funds which were allocated were around 1,583 crore rupees. Now, what is the status of this particular Indian neutrino, let's say the observatory? The last update regarding this was given back in the year 2022. And this particular, the observatory has not been completed. It ran into multiple obstacles. The biggest obstacle associated with this was, as usual, the bigger problem in case of India, land acquisition. it ran into multiple hurdles. The biggest by far is the land acquisition. Why? What is the issue with land acquisition? When this particular observatory was proposed and different survey teams, research teams started visiting that particular region in Tamil Nadu, there was a misconception amongst the people which was fueled by different local leaders that something associated with nuclear energy is being conducted here. Nuclear energy. And I'm pretty sure all of you know this. Whenever we hear something associated with nuclear energy, the first concern for us will be, what if there is a mismanagement? What if there is a leakage? What if, something will happen, blast will happen, etc. And this actually led to a lot of opposition against this particular project. Right? On the other side, there is one more term here, JUNO. This is one more neutrino observatory that has been proposed and set up and is conducting research and publishing papers in China now. This is basically being published, or this is working in China. It has started operating and it is publishing papers as well. So this is basically the 2 points which you need to remember in the context of INO and JUNO. Lot of technical data is provided, theta, that, this, etc. Do not worry about it. Only focus on what is required for the UPSC examination. Associated with this, let's solve an MCQ. Technical MCQ. I am only saying technical because lot of you are not from chemistry background, okay, or even for that matter physics background. Consider the following statements. Neutrinos are part of fundamental particles. Yes, this one is true, straightforward. These carry charge like electrons. Electrons carry a charge, negative charge. Do neutrinos carry a charge? No. Right? Look at the name, neutrino, neutral. Okay. Neutrinos are produced on sun during nuclear fission. Are they produced on the sun? Yes, they are produced on the sun. But is it during the nuclear fission? On sun, it is not the fission, rather fusion. It is rather fusion. Please be very careful. Fusion. Third statement incorrect. So first one is correct. Second and third are incorrect. Right option for the question will be option A. Only one is correct. A lot of you read only the first part of the third statement, did not read the last part of the third statement. Please don't make a mistake in the UPSC examination. Be very, very careful. Next, just write the factual information associated with certain current affairs. Mars craters have been named. Certain Mars craters have been named now. 3.5 billion year old crater on Mars will be named after geologist M.S. Krishnan. Now, who generally approves the name for planets? Who generally approves the names for craters, stars, asteroids, etc.? Please remember the name of the authority, IAU. IAU. Please remember the name of the authority. Right? That is International Astronomical Union. International Astronomical Union. For example, please do let me know in the chat section. All of you heard of one of the planets being downgraded, which is not a planet today. That is Pluto. Correct? All of you heard of this? Earlier, Pluto was considered as one of the planets. In fact, when you are studying in the school, you would have been told to memorize a particular formula to remember all the 9 planets. Pluto is no more a planet, it's a dwarf planet now. So which is the authority which removed the status of a planet of Pluto? It is basically IAU. Please remember, it is IAU. Now, it is this authority which has given certain names, which has approved certain names to the crater and certain regions surrounding the crater. These are the names. My suggestion is, it's a simply factual information. Memorize. Simply memorize. These are the names. Simply memorize. Right? Krishnan. Right? Valimala. Thumba. Thumba, I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this. Whenever there is something associated with ISRO launch, you will come across Thumba. Varkala, Bekal, Periyar, etc. All these names have been used by IAU, and because, please understand, IAU has a simple formula. It says that the names that you're recommending should be easy to pronounce. Should be easy to pronounce and should be associated with certain cultural event. Should be important culturally. Only then these names would be approved. right? So these particular names have been approved for craters, region within the crater, region surrounding the crater, etc. These are the names. Please make a note of this and memorize this. Can be a straightforward question in the preliminary examination. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding International Astronomical Union. This was set up in 1945 under United Nations. A lot of you will feel this is correct. No, it is not correct. It is incorrect. Right. So IAU was set up back in the year 1919. 1919. 1919. Okay. The headquarters of IAU is located in Paris. Yes. France. Yes, it is correct. It names stars, asteroids, and craters, etc. Yes, this statement is also correct. Two of the three statements are correct. Right option for the question will be option B. Only two are correct. So these are the 10 articles as well as the concepts I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. Now, if any one of you has got any kind of a doubt, issues or concerns associated with whatever I've discussed, do let me know. Otherwise, I'll close the session for today. And before I take up your doubts, if you have liked the discussion that I've done, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. And today evening, the next round of Economy This Week discussion video will be uploaded. I'll be covering important economy articles from 20th of November to 26th of November. Please do not miss out. Watch the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're yet to, but more importantly, download the notes and read them. Second part is more important. Read them. Just don't download and keep it with yourself. Done. So that's it from my side. Take care. See you next time when I am taking up the Hindu newspaper analysis. Have a great day.